So new fire safety laws coming into place today, which will mean building owners responsible for reducing the risk of fire in their properties in response to the tragedy of the devastating Grenfell fire 4 years ago. The cost of ensuring the safety of these buildings is extortionate sometimes, and many leaseholders are having to foot the bill, despite campaigns to protect them from crippling, maybe ruinous charges. So Sophie Bichener is from Stevenage, and she's having to deal with the nightmare of this situation. She's on the line. Hello, Sophie.
Hi, John.
Hi, Sophie. Thanks for joining us and telling us about what's happening with you. Tell us a bit about your property.
Yeah, so our property was converted just over 4 years ago, just before the Grenfell Tower tragedy. And we've got 73 leaseholders here. Obviously, a lot of them bought off plan before the building was put together. And we've since found out that the building didn't meet safety regulations that were in place at the time in regards to fire breaks and flammable insulation. So for us, it's not just the cladding that we're going to have to pay to replace, and it's something that has never been in line with regulations.
Yeah. And when you bought the place, you clearly didn't know this. You learned afterwards.
No, so we, as leaseholders, carried out every survey. We had our mortgage advisors, solicitors, report on the property, everything that you should do. And it's basically been in the last year that we've had invasive surveys, and they've basically pulled walls down and seen that there's essentially no barriers around the sides of the buildings. Yeah. So, as was the case in Grenfell, a fire could just spread in the cavity. That
must have been dreadful thing to hear when you found that out. And have you got a notion now of just how much work needs to be done, and importantly, what it might cost you, what the bill's going to add up to?
Yeah, it's hard to put an estimate on it, which is something that we're really struggling with. Obviously, mentally, your life's kind of on pause. We know that there is an estimate of around £13 million just for this building, just for 73 flats.
Whoa.
And we are expecting some of that to be covered by the government's Building Safety Fund, but around £3 million would be potentially met by leaseholders. So we know that this is a life-changing sum of money, and while we wait for the estimate to come through, we have a £600 a month waking watch to pay for.
Goodness me, Sophie. I mean, as you say, a life-changing sum of money. Have you got a notion of how you might deal with it?
We really don't, and there's so many families in this building who are really struggling. They're unable to think about their children's future. You know, we've got heavily pregnant women in this building who are not only unsafe in their building at night, they're worried about how they're going to afford to live, even next month, in the next few months. So it's really distressing that there's no support for us now. These bills are on our doorstep already.
And Sophie, were you putting all your hopes then on Parliament coming through? There's been, as you know, a ding-dong, hasn't there, in Parliament between the Lords and the Commons. There was a bit of a rebellion by some on the government side last night, but the vote did not go the way you wanted it to, needed it to, which I guess you see that as a huge blow.
Yeah, it was really one of the last chances for us, with these bills expected to come, especially in the first half, so we're expecting ours in June. It was really one of the last chances we had to see that the government were going to step in and try and help us here. One of their main arguments against the amendments to the bill was that taxpayers shouldn't be paying for this. Yeah. Well, we don't think so either, and we are taxpayers who've been let down by developers and by building control. We don't want taxpayers to pay. We want the people who put these buildings together incorrectly to pay, in the same way that if your car was put together incorrectly, you'd have it recalled and the manufacturer would put it right, and you wouldn't have to pay £200,000 to fix it.
Yeah, when no one's going to put that obligation on them by law, as far as we can see now, thanks to the vote in the House of Lords and the House of Commons yesterday. I guess, Sophie, are you and your neighbours talking to each other about the situation you're in? Not that necessarily comes up with any solutions.
Yeah, we've joined it together in a committee, and we've had legal advice, which obviously we've had to pay for, which was
more
the kick in the teeth, really. Yeah.
And what are your lawyers saying to you?
They're saying that because of leasehold law and the way our lease is written, essentially this is a maintenance cost. It's a general cost for the building, and the way that the law is at the moment, there is very little protection for leaseholders. So essentially, we're going to have to pay for these through the service charge, and we've already got letters from our freeholder and our management agent saying we'll kind of add all these costs together, but you are paying at the end of the day, so be prepared, essentially.
You can be prepared. It doesn't make it affordable. Can you manage? Can you see a way to deal with this burden, this debt?
No, not really, and that's what makes it extra difficult for everyone to deal with. Not only have you bought a property in good faith, and now we have to have 4 ex-firemen walking around at all times in case there is a fire. There's no way that we can afford to put it right. And while we wait for the funds, we're still paying or accruing £600 a month for our waking watch, which we can't get rid of until we fix the building. So it's a bit of a catch-22, and I wonder if the government knows where this money is going to come from thousands of leaseholders in the country who are in the same situation.
Yeah, I mean, the battle was lost in Parliament yesterday. As far as you know, are you pursuing that route, trying to just lobby for your MP and MPs maybe to put on a bit of pressure just to help you out? That there's not a clear route to rescue here, is there?
No, I mean, we're very lucky in Stevenage that we have Stephen McPartland as our MP, and he's been very vocal about this. It was his amendment with Royston Smith that was put through Parliament through the Lords. So all we can do really is hope that those people continue to speak out. And as leaseholders, as there's a couple of campaigns on social media, we're all trying our best to get our voices heard, and we will keep fighting this, and it will do what it takes, because the alternative is bankruptcy and forfeiture and people's lives being ruined.
Okay, Sophie, look, I mean, all the best with this. I guess no one can see a way through this, but I feel for you. I can imagine the kind of pressure that you feel over this. That's Sophie Bichener, who's really caught in the sharp end of this latest chapter after the Grenfell disaster. People stuck with these enormous, potentially crippling bills to make their homes safe, hoping that the owner of the building would make that good. There was a vote last night, 2 votes in Parliament, in the House of Commons and the House of Lords, and they went from Sophie's point of view, and many like Sophie, exactly the wrong way. Not clear where Sophie and all of the others go from here. We're going to be watching that story, as you'd expect, here on Times Radio, and we'll keep you up to date with where it goes as it goes.